Love. Some would say it took a backseat when the pandemic forced us apart. As a family-run and proudly Canadian-owned company, Charm Diamond Centers saw the need to bring us together with tales of love and created the Canadian Love Map podcast. Since then, we've shared hundreds of real, uplifting stories that prove love conquers all. So thank you for listening. We couldn't do it without you. And remember, love starts here.
We live through hard times. We need the support. And there's no better way to have someone to come to your life, not to do something for you or to fix something, just to say, hey, I'm here for you. I understand your pain. I understand what you're going through, and we're going to get through it together.
Hi, I'm Nancy Regan. This week's love story belongs to Dimitri, a pilot with a passion for helping others. He spreads innovative messages of love and support for those going through difficult times, and his program Dream Wings allows children with special needs to take flight. When it comes to generosity, for Dimitri, the sky's the limit. Dimitri, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome, Nancy. My pleasure.
I have been watching your story over the past 7 or 8 months with such interest and with so much love because you have literally lit up people's lives, and I think you've been like a balm on their hearts. I guess it's true to say your heart is in the sky.
Very much so, and on the ground with so many people.
Let's talk first about how you first became very famous in Canada and beyond. Will you tell me about the day that started it all?
It's unfortunate that it was a tragic day on April 19th of this year with the events that took place in Portapic. It was a tragic day that shook us all up, left us in disbelief. And that afternoon, I decided to go on a flight. But for the first time, I decided to do a flight path that is different than any other I've ever did. And I went on a flight app that I use to help me navigating, to help me to navigate. And I drew a heart over Portapic. And I took off late in the afternoon as the sun was setting. Short flight out of Halifax. And I drew this heart, this flight path that took the shape of a heart, over the mostly affected area. And that's how it all started. The radar picked it up and it showed a heart over Portapic. And that's how it all started.
And am I right that at the time you were mostly doing it for yourself and did not anticipate that a lot of other people would know about it?
That is true. I did it for myself, and it was sort of sending a message of support, a text message from the sky, an old-fashioned smoke signal. Here we are in support of each other. I support you. I didn't expect this to go so big and reach all across North America and the world.
And how did that unfold?
During the flight, I remember Lara was on my right seat. Actually, we did this flight together. And we were very quiet during the flight. The sun was setting. It was a beautiful setting, but you look down below and you feel the pain. As I finished shaping the heart. I was returning to the airport. It looked good on my flight app. I was happy with it. I had sent out a message that I wanted to. Mission was accomplished. And then as I was returning and I was instructed to land, after landing, the air traffic controller said, by the way, that was a beautiful flight path. And after I got home, I noticed that it had gone viral. And I started getting a lot of messages from everywhere. People, a lot of reporters. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I thought, we have so many people. We're still counting our losses here. Why would anybody want to talk to me? So I called my daughter in California the next day, and I was very upset. And I said, why would all these people call me? And what she said made sense. She said, I saw your flight path, Dad. It's all over North America. You need to talk to the reporters. You need to let this little story out because we don't have anything good in the news right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. This is a bright little spot in our darkest hour. And she was right. What really made me feel good about this flight was that the next day I got messages from people who were directly affected, people who lost their parents. Got a few messages saying, thank you, this means a lot to us. Thank you for what you did. And that justified, more than anything else, the flight that I did. And I was really glad that the story went out. And it served, and it made so many people feel a little bit of comfort. And a message of unity that we're going to get through this and we're going to get through it together.
Yes, it felt like there was such togetherness in the way people responded, the way we found out about it. And it was just, it's hard to put into words what it was like to see that heart in the sky. It even took a moment, I remember, to understand what you had done. And then that landed in our hearts. I'm sure I can speak for a lot of people. So there's an interesting difficulty in being in a situation where you've learned of a tragedy such as this massacre, and you have this feeling of complete helplessness. And yet, as you say, to be able to shine a little light in people's lives really helps with that helplessness. Do you agree?
I now agree. After I landed, I wasn't so sure about it, but now I agree. It is, I saw how much comfort this little flight path, to me, was a message that I wanted to send personally to the people affected and to whole Nova Scotia. One way or another, we were all affected by this. But to the ones who were directly affected, I wanted to send them a message and say, look, we are in this together.
And Dimitri, this was not the last time you did it this year. It was just the beginning.
The pilot in me asked, how did you do that? Especially, how did you do the top of the heart? That's a tight turn. But nothing could prepare me for what came next. One blow after another. With the loss of the helicopter in the island of Kefalonia in Greece and the loss of the crew. The disappearance of Dylan, the little 3-year-old from Truro. The loss of Jen Casey in Kamloops and so on. I wanted to honor Heidi Stevenson, the RCMP officer who lost her life in the massacre. So I drew a lady in the sky, and I didn't know how it was going to come out, but I just went and I did it. And I called the drawing Lady H. The next day, I got a message from Heidi's mother saying how much this would have meant to Heidi if she was here, and she was very thankful. And she encouraged me and she inspired me to move on and do more, as I saw that these little drawings were bringing some comfort to people of Nova Scotia.
2020 has not been the first time that you've demonstrated love in the air, if I can put it that way. Can you tell me about your beautiful program you've been running for people in Nova Scotia called Dream Wings?
Yes, its main purpose is to give children with disabilities a unique opportunity to not only experience flight, but to be a pilot. A child in a wheelchair, for example, who doesn't have the luxury of playing in the playground the way other children do, is offered this unique opportunity to learn a few things about aviation and aerodynamics and experience flight from the right seat of an airplane as a captain would do or as a co-pilot could do.
This must have given you extraordinary joy over the years.
It is my pride and joy. It is. I get a lot of joy out of this, watching these kids, the smiles on their faces.
I actually have a mother on the line whose son flew with you. And I know you know Lynn Arsenault. Lynn, can you tell us how you came to know Dimitri, please?
Yes, I was contacted in June of 2017 by a mutual friend who knew Dimitri myself. And she made me aware of the program that Dimitri was starting. And Daniel's first flight with Dimitri took place out of Debert.
Tell us about Daniel.
Our son Daniel was born with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a progressive muscle wasting disorder. And presently there is still no cure. He became wheelchair bound in 2012 as a result of a fall where he broke his back and fractured his hip. And he remained in a wheelchair since that time. But he never let the wheelchair define him. And he was always so positive, even in the face of adversity.
And can you tell me what his experience with Dimitri was?
Dimitri provided Daniel with an incredible memories of an amazing time in the air with a man that Daniel truly admired, trusted, and looked up to. He gave him an unforgettable experience of a lifetime, the freedom to fly, which logistically is not something that is easy for someone that is wheelchair bound. This unique experience gave Daniel another reason to smile, gave him stories to share with all of his friends and family, and he truly felt like the king of the world, being up there in that plane next to Dimitri.
And Lynn, I know you tragically lost Daniel. I understand that Dimitri played a part in the day of the funeral.
Dimitri was incredible. During our worst time in our lives were crushed. We were overcome with sorrow. And actually, at the wake in the funeral home, when Dimitri walked up to us, he had come all the way from Halifax to pay his respects, and we were just so truly overwhelmed. While he was there, Dimitri took a set of flight wings and pinned them on Daniel's chest in the casket, and we were beyond touched. It is something I will never forget as long as I live. There wasn't a dry eye in the place.
Well, there's not a dry eye on this call right now either.
When we were leaving the funeral home the next day on our way to the church for the funeral, we came outside of the building and heard a rumble in the air above us. And we look up and lo and behold, it's Dimitri in his plane. And he followed us and escorted us overhead to the church where Daniel was going to be laid to rest, and attended the funeral, and even came to the graveside service and paid his final respects there. When he flew over the church, he flew down low, and the rumble in people's hearts were just palpable. It was incredible.
Dimitri has talked about the response that he's gotten from people, both people who were directly impacted by the Portapique massacre, but also from Nova Scotians who needed, their spirits bolstered. Can you speak directly from the perspective of someone who was face to face with tragedy about how it impacted you?
Certainly. Dimitri is such an exceptional person. He's so unassuming. He's truly inspiring. He exemplifies kindness, and he is truly selfless. What he may think is just something small that he is doing on his part, he has no understanding of how great it makes a person feel and how supportive. It's just truly remarkable. He has such a soothing presence. While his passion for aviation, he wears that on his sleeve. His relatability to children and working with children of special needs is just beyond amazing in my eyes.
Well, Lynn, thank you so much. I hope that you hold on to those beautiful memories of Daniel climbing into the cockpit with Dimitri. And I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you. I would like to add one thing here. After Daniel had passed away, some time had gone by. Dimitri had contacted us in regards to making Daniel the ambassador for Dreamwings, which he did do. And he proceeded to place Daniel's name on the wing of the plane so that he could forever be his co-pilot.
Dimitri, how does that land in your heart, those words?
Daniel was an exceptional kid, and I had a couple of flights with him. It was really nice to be up in the air and making memories for him and his family. I flew a couple of times with Daniel on the right seat and his dad, Kenny, in the back. And what a beautiful time we had up there. It was awesome. And flying over his procession, saying my farewell was something that I wanted to do. And I'm happy I did it, and I'm happy I was there to support the family. Wonderful, wonderful people, Lynn and Kenny and the rest of the family. And it was unforgettable.
I had a very memorable and distinct feeling early on in the first lockdown in the spring that we were all being called to service in some way. We could all be of service to someone somehow. And you really stepped into that fully. And I'm so grateful that you have given so many people a sense of relief in that you inspire us. You make us believe in the best of human beings. Once again, in a time when there's been a lot of darkness, you've brought a lot of light. And I wonder if you can explain from your perspective why it is that you love to fly. So apart from the joy that you've brought to so many others, what is the feeling that you get that made you want to go out that day of the shootings in Portapique? What is it about being in the sky that you love so much?
It's the freedom of being in a three-dimensional space and being in control of an aircraft, and have as I tell kids who are a little skeptical about coming on the airplane, because there are a lot of kids who are a little skeptical, a little afraid. I said, there's no trees up there. There's no crazy drivers to bump into us. There's no stop signs. We got the whole the sky to ourselves. That's what it is. You have freedom, and and to be able to see the world from up there. And this is another thing that I share with the kids. I said, see if you can find your house. And they look, and it's a little difficult because the world is so different from up there, that unless you know what you're looking for, you aren't going to find it. And it's funny how some of the kids that I fly with, they see the hospital. They recognize the hospital that they spend a lot of time in, McDonald's and Walmart.
It's interesting, though, because you're literally breaking through a ceiling for them.
When I was a kid, I would jump at this if somebody offered me a flight on an airplane. I would jump at this. I loved airplanes. I developed a love for aviation. So maybe I'm passing that along, and say, hey, come fly with me. Come experience this unique opportunity.
Dimitri, Lynn described you as an earth angel. And I had already been thinking about the expression, not all heroes wear capes. How do you feel when people say things like that about what you've done?
I appreciate it. I'm not an earth angel, and certainly I'm not a hero. I believe in goodness. I believe that through goodness, we can get through anything, as long as we support each other, as long as we stick together, as long as I care about you and you care about me, and we care about everybody. We live through hard times. We need the support. And there's no better way to have someone to come to your life, not to do something for you or to fix something, just to say, hey, I'm here for you. I understand your pain. I understand what you're going through, and we're going to get through it together. So I'm not a hero, far from it. And certainly not an earth angel, but thank you, Lynn.
Well, I think the argument for you being a hero is that you have given us all that sense of connection that you are speaking about, and also restored our faith in humanity. So that's a pretty big feat right there. Well,
it's funny you said that, because I benefit so much out of this. I feel this incredible connection with thousands and thousands and thousands of people whom I have never met, and yet I feel connected. I feel connected to these people. I feel connected to everyone.
Well, thank you on behalf of everyone who has benefited from your art. Thank you so much for your love of flying and your love of people.
It is my pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening to the Canadian Love Map. If you love us, please subscribe and share. We'll be back next week with another love story to add to the map. This podcast is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, Canada's largest family-owned jewelry store. They are proud to be putting love on the map, and the staff at Charm Diamond Centers are thrilled to be a part of your love story too. So visit charmdiamondcenters.com or one of your local stores. Love starts here. This podcast is made possible by Charm Diamond Centers. It's hosted by me, Nancy Regan, and is produced and distributed by Podstarter.